the month it was. So every time this year, Apple has a fairly big event where they announce a whole heap of new stuff. But there's also some other stuff that happens during the month. So let's try and cover a few random things and make sure you're all up to date with where things are in the world of iOS, macOS, tvOS, watchOS, unnamed AR thingy OS. You never know what's going to happen. Automated driving car OS. So, first thing off the bat is which beta should we install? And the answer to this is yes, install the beta. That really isn't helpful. So iOS 13, we know iOS 13 has hit GM, but iPadOS 13 hasn't hit GM. I believe iPadOS is going straight to 13.1. So with all of this, the real answer is make sure you install something and test against iOS 13 or 13.1. If you haven't been testing against either of these recently, then you're probably in for a world of pain. A lot has changed, so just please install the betas and make sure you have enough time to work on all of the new changes before it all gets released to the public. If you're a macOS dev like me, I pretend to be a macOS dev, then installing Catalina is also a good thing. Catalina is still in the betas, hasn't reached GM. So yeah, that is the short answer to what beta should we install. Next one is a little bit more controversial. Where is my data? So recently, a rather well-known, very tall person within the iOS community tweeted out and blogged and everything that the recent round of betas were horrible because he lost all of his data. Now, there are opposing opinions on this, but the short answer is there have been a lot of changes around CloudKit, and particularly around CloudKit Drive, so your documents, your desktop, and a few other things. Ultimately, it's a bit of shared responsibility. Apple needed to do a little bit better in the communication. We need to do a little bit better in making sure that we understand why things break. And we need to make sure we have multiple backups. So, yep, iCloud, if you, for some reason, in your apps need to load files in from a remote service, you need to make sure that it's tested against iOS 13 or macOS 10.15. By doing so, you will make sure that the files get read correctly. UI document, NS document, they solve all of these problems. Just make sure you go and test them. Then we get to yesterday morning, and Apple once again sort of touted how Apple TV is coming, and it's going to be really, really good. We got a bit of a teaser around, I think the show is called C, with Jason Momoa and a whole other range of cast about what is happening in a post-apocalyptic world where people have lost their sight for an extended period of time, as in multiple generations, and then suddenly children are born with sight. So this is going to be a really amazing bit of television coming out as part of Apple TV. Recommend subscribing when it comes out. I am looking forward to Snoopy in space. That is going to be amazing. There is a trailer out for that at the moment as well. So Apple TV, we know, is coming in on the 1st of November, and it is going to be for $7.99 a month. That, I believe, is the Australian pricing, and it is going to be amazing. It's probably competing with, say, HBO more than it is with Netflix. Netflix is a wide-ranging amount of content. HBO and Apple TV Plus are very narrow but very focused, high production quality in what they are producing. The next one is Apple Arcade. So we have known about Apple Arcade for a while, and we got a bit more of a teaser about what it is and when it is coming. So it is coming on September 20th. Yay, it's going to be here in just over a week. It will be $7.99 a month. Seems to be a pretty reasonable, pretty good price point for getting access to a whole heap of games. And these games are going to be pretty high quality. Like, it's not your PlayStation or your Xbox, but it's a different platform, a different idea, a different way of presenting games, being able to play them. I'll definitely be jumping on it. I think others should as well. Then Apple talked a bit about the Apple Watch and presented this really, really amazing video about people writing into Tim Cook and writing into Apple about how the Apple Watch has changed their lives. A lot of them were around the heart rate features or the, I think it's afibrillation, might be wrong, but yeah, how all of the technology in the Apple Watch has detected anomalies around their heart and been able to save them from some pretty serious medical stuff. So this is really good. Go and watch the video. It is a bit of a tearjerker. I must admit I cried during it, but that's perfectly okay. You're seeing some really touching videos and it's all good. Then they talked about what the next Apple Watch will be. So it's the Series 5. There is an always-on watch face. So this is something pretty amazing when you're at the gym or in a meeting or something. You don't have to tap your watch or sort of do the large motion in order to get the face to appear. It is always going to be on. There's some rather interesting tech behind it where they're adapting the frame rate or the refresh rate of the screen from, say, 60 hertz down to even 1 hertz to allow for it to refresh and still have a good amount of battery life and stuff like that. There are some new finishes as well in the casing. So ceramic as a case is back. The rather unfortunate thing is a ceramic Apple Watch will cost you more than a new iPhone Pro. It's probably still worth it because it's ceramic and awesome, and you want to pair it nicely with a Hermes band, so I'm a little bit each way on it. Personal circumstances mean I don't have money, but I really want it, and I'm probably going to end up just buying it. So, yeah, this is pretty cool and pretty exciting. The iPad 9. So, this is sort of like the new iPad. It's not an iPad Pro that they demonstrated. It is their regular iPad. It is a refresh. It still has the pencil support, I believe. But the really interesting thing behind this announcement is they weren't comparing it to a Google tablet or a Microsoft Surface or anything like that. What they compared it to was a laptop, a PC. And this really explains a lot about what the market Apple thinks the iPad is going into, where people doing business should be getting an iPad instead of a Windows laptop. Sorry? The iPhone was the next announcement, so Apple did a very interesting thing with this announcement in that they split apart the iPhone from the iPad Pro. The iPhone had its own announcement, its own feature set, its own advertisement, and the iPhone is the upgrade to the iPhone XR. So this is the sort of entry-level iPhone that a lot of people will get. It now has a dual camera instead of a single camera. It still has that weird box around the camera housing, but that's okay. A lot of really cool new tech going into both the iPhone and the iPhone Pro. Also, slow-me's, wide-me's, all of these different sort of things around taking a picture of yourself should be pretty good. I wonder what will happen if we sort of get a slow emoji me. Yeah. After that, we had the iPhone Pro. So this is the one we were all sort of really looking at and wanting to hear about. Tim Cook did a lot of this presentation, but again, the Apple event itself was a very Tim Cook absent event in that he wasn't there for most of it. He shared a lot of the workload, which was really good, really amazing. I liked seeing that diversity amongst the presenters. One of the really cool things about the iPhone Pro and the iPhone was the A13 Bionic Chip that they talked about. And they had someone get up on stage. I can't remember his name, but he just pretty much geeked out on all of the really cool stuff going into this bit of silicon. So that was really amazing. Apple has done a lot of work in order to make this a really smart processor, really energy efficient. Might have been missed or underrated, but I think is a really standout bit. The video capture was also something that came to mind with all of the stuff around the iPhone Pro. So you've got the normal lens, you've got the telephoto lens, you've got the wide angle lens, and you've got the front-facing camera on there. So you can have 4 different video streams feeding into your mobile device. And you're able to get it all in real time and do editing as well. So the iPhone Pro is an amazingly powerful device. Allows us to make some really great apps and do stuff for people all around the world. Release dates, so this is the important thing for us as developers and people working within the community. So on Friday evening, now at 10 p.m. rather than 5 p.m, we will be able to pre-order the phones. So I will hopefully be going for the midnight green iPhone 11 Pro. Don't think I'll go for a 128 or 256. I'll probably go for the 64 because for me, everything exists on iCloud. That's just me. iOS release dates, we've got September 19th for iOS 13, and then 13.1 will be at the end of the month on September 30th. macOS Catalina, again, sometime in October. My guess, and this is a completely wild guess, is that there will be another Apple-held event at sometime in October, which will cover macOS and maybe potentially, I hope so, a 16-inch MacBook Pro. Whether it comes true or not, I don't know. Last little bit of news from the community is what does the future hold? So everyone's favourite antagonist on the internet mentioned that within iOS 13 there is a README file for how do you do AR glasses just by testing on the phone. AR glasses have long been rumoured, and we're starting to get a bit more of a picture as to what they'll be. So maybe this is something that we'll see in the future. Hopefully it is. I think there's a lot of advancements to people's lives and how we interact with technology which will come as a result. So personally, I think this fits with Apple's ethos and where things are going, so I would like to see this. That is all I have for the month that was. There was likely a lot of other stuff, but this is what I thought was really good.